The only thing we were wrong about, Lou, is it was worse than we thought. They always accuse us of what they were doing. They, in fact, according to what Mr. Ratcliffe released today, they, in fact, were working with the Russians. The Clinton campaign was working with the Russians, concocting this fake story that somehow it was President Trump's campaign that was colluding with Russia, which we know was a complete hoax. So, look, with each day we learn more. The only thing we had wrong is, as I've said before, it was much worse than we originally thought.
Well, you and Congressman Meadows, Congressman Gates, among those who have seen more documents, know more about this than I think even most of your colleagues. Give us a sense of how important it is that Rick Grinnell and John Ratcliffe have been at the DNI in charge of that office.
They've been tremendous. We would not know that there was never a proper predicate for this, but for the fact that these guys released the transcripts of the sworn testimony of the key people in the Obama administration, the Obama-Biden administration. We got Clapper saying there was never a reason, there was no collusion. I never saw any coordination between the Russians and the Trump campaign. So there was never a proper predicate for launching this investigation because they told us that. We saw this one. That we got from Rick Grinnell, that we got from John Ratcliffe, and the good work that they're doing. So it'd be nice if Chris Wray would help us with this too, but unfortunately he hasn't. The other thing I think is so important, remember tomorrow Jim Comey's testifying. I hope he gets asked about the January 5th 2017 meeting in the Oval Office where Joe Biden brings up the Logan Act, where President Obama is asked, this is where they hatched the strategy on how they were going to trap Michael Flynn, how they were going to get Michael Flynn. And the reason, Lou, they had to get him is because he was, as former head of Defense Intelligence, he would have figured out everything they did. All how this was built as a house of cards. There was no he would have figured out. And they said, we've got to stop him because he's going to uncover the wrong we did as the new national security advisor to the President of the United States. So they hatched the plan that January 5th, and they took him out just a few weeks later, which is so sad what they did to a three-star general.
It is so sad what they did to him, to his family, what they have done to them all for 4 years. Can you imagine? We have been discussing this for 4 long years while they have been living through a hell brought by the politically corrupt left and deep state. This has got to end, and now we find that we're not going to have an interim report. We're not going to be hearing about charges from the U.S. attorney assigned to investigate the investigators of Obamagate.
Yeah, that's frustrating. But here's the positive takeaway. In spite of everything they threw at this president, in spite of all the lies, in spite of all the crazy investigations, in spite of what they did to Michael Flynn, in spite of all that, this president did what he said he was going to do, delivered for American families, delivered for the American people, and he's going to highlight that record in 3.5 years with Joe Biden's record in 4.5 decades in Washington. He's going to highlight that tonight here at this debate. He's going to talk about the taxes cut, the regulations reduced, the fact that prior to COVID, the economy was growing at an unbelievable pace, lowest unemployment in 50 years. He's going to talk about out of the Iran deal, embassy in Jerusalem, hostage home for North Korea, new NAFTA agreement, building the wall, rebuilding our economy after this coronavirus that we're now starting to see as we're coming out of this thing. And he's also going to talk about putting Neil Gorsuch, Brett Kavanaugh on the court, and Coney Barrett on deck. He's going to talk about all that in spite of relentless opposition from the press and from every single Democrat, and frankly, unfortunately, a handful of Republicans. He has delivered, and he's going to highlight that in tonight's first debate.